how this complex network is basically building each day as you basically ensure that you have water being supplied to your customers. And again, most because water utility is more of the field work, you basically want to leverage on the field to office collaboration by ensuring that you have even the meter readers from the field being able to collect or be able to read the meters, or they're able to leverage on the real-time access to any kind of GIS data that you have in place, or the kind of asset information that you have within your system. Then you basically want to ensure that as you are going through this digital transformation, you want to be able to integrate with the various systems that you have in place. And one of the systems that I've already mentioned about is the integrating with the Internet of Things, whereby you have the smart meters or the smart technology that you want to integrate within your workflows, and even doing the asset tracking, asset management, and all those kind of workflows. So this basically becomes a challenge because you are striving towards a digital transformation that you want to ensure that you have kind of a robust and intelligent system. So this is a snapshot of water intelligence system, whereby you want to monitor from the source, whereby you have your plant for water production, where you need to perform water quality analysis and all those, and then you want to ensure that you have a complete asset inventory system that you have in place that manages all the distribution information about the water utilities. That's the pipeline. You want to ensure that you have all the assets in terms of the connectivity to their customers in place. Then you want to be able, basically want to track down up to the billing level, whereby you have even the customer type and the customer categories in terms of now the payments and water consumptions being in place. Then again, basically, you want to ensure that you want to have a system that basically manages all this information that you have in place as a water utility. So this information system that you can be able to have in place that can be able to help you manage all this kind of information, basically you want to leverage on a kind of a centralized database management system that can be either accessed as a service through the browser or through the mobile technology that we have currently. And that's the technology that we have and we support as Esri. So that is the ArcGIS as a platform. So while we want to enable you leverage on an intelligent system, we want to ensure that we enable you in terms of digital transformation across your organization, across your water utility organization. And for us to be able to empower you with this kind of technology, we want to ensure that we put in place a system, a robust system of records that you can be able to leverage on in terms of you want to access the asset inventory system, database of all the assets where they are, and then also want to leverage on the customer base database so that you can be able to ensure that you have clearer and accurate billing system, whereby basically rides within the system of records that the ArcGIS basically provides. So while you want to have this single source of truth of information about your water utility assets and the customer base, you want to share this information. Therefore, ArcGIS basically provides with you the system of engagement through the web applications, through the dashboards that can help you do a lot of analytics. Then you are able now to ensure that at the end of the day, you want to know the customer performance in terms of water revenue that you're getting from these customers. And therefore, ArcGIS basically gives you solutions for a system of insights. You basically want to do analytics and get insights out of the data that you have. And therefore, as a GIS technology company, that is Esri, we basically ensure that we power you with solutions that help you in terms of customer experience. You want to get information of the customer experience. You want to have the best practices in terms of asset management, whereby you want to track down the life cycle of all these assets, and even try to ensure that you're basically able to modernize your network grid of the water distribution. So this can only be available when you have a location intelligence system that can be able to help you in terms of you want to have a digital asset inventory, a digital platform that can be able to help you do a digital transformation. And basically this is basically helping water utilities to basically change their kind of workflows that you're able to perform on your daily basis. Things like meter reading, things like you want to access the maps in the field, and then you basically want to update this information while you basically want to monitor them. So one of the most specific workflow that you basically do, you want to ensure that you know where these assets are located, and basically you want to ensure that you're modernizing these water utility assets in terms of a robust asset management system that can basically help you try and model these assets, the way they're performing. You want to track down in the life cycle, you want to track down the installation date, you want to ensure that you have a robust system that can be able to manage all this information. So, and therefore you want to basically get pull insights and capabilities beyond the location of these assets. Once you're able to know the location of these assets, you basically want to have various attributes that you can be able to look at, be able to analyze in terms of performance and all those kind of aspects. And basically ArcGIS basically powers you with these tools that can basically help you do the visualization and these analytics, and therefore you can be able to have access to this information through the mobile devices that that you have in place. So as one of the solutions that basically will help you modernize this workforce, that you basically ensure that you want to have a digital platform to be in place in terms of managing these assets, ArcGIS utility network is one of those solutions that you basically want to leverage on in terms of now you want to model this kind of a robust network. And therefore, ArcGIS provides with you the data management solutions that you want to have a robust enterprise database system that you want to leverage on while you're managing all these assets. And therefore, once you have this asset management system that basically has very authoritative data that you could be able to use to do your analysis on a daily basis, and one of those analysis that you want to perform is basically you want to track down the life cycle management of all these assets, because as your network continuously grows you basically expand to other areas, you want to ensure that you're basically going to manage all these assets, and you want to track down in case of any failure, you're able to repair this failure within a shortest time possible, because you basically have a robust system that can help you track down these changes on each and every time. So this basically the life cycle management unifies the life cycle around the location, because you want to tie down each and every asset to a particular location that can basically just go there, just do inspections, or you want to basically replace them with a lot of ease in terms of data collection. And in terms of performance assessment, you want to assess the vulnerabilities of these particular assets, and basically you want to consider real-time inputs that you could be able to do on the fly as you're able to ensure that you have a robust system. At the end of the day, you want basically to leverage on the optimization of these assets in terms of fine-tune decision making. You want to make very quick decisions because you have that location intelligence of these assets where they are. Then basically sharpen in terms of intelligent utilization, location intelligent utilization. Then basically you want to ensure that while you are doing all this asset management, you basically, because it's basically a cost or budgetary issue, you want to ensure that you can be able to budget with a lot of decisions made in place, leveraging on the locational intelligence. And therefore, while you are doing the asset management, you want to ensure that you want to add location as a new capability to preventive asset management, because you want to adopt to various methods of asset management that you want to do the routine basis, whereby you want to ensure that you have the history of the assets in place. You want to ensure that you have the installation date, you want to have the in-service date, you want to have the last updated date, you want to ensure that you also have the last inspected date, so that you can be able to determine even the age of these assets on a particular location, so that you can be able to take or undertake very strategic measures, either could be capital works, the maintenance works, or the operational strategies that you could have in place. So while you're doing that, you also want to ensure that you want also to adopt either a condition-based strategy, whereby you want to add the condition of the assets and their health in terms of health data so that you're able to enhance the asset management, because you want to ensure that you have this condition of the assets in terms of their performance, whether they're basically in service, whether basically they're out of service, and how many times these kind of assets have been repaired. So at the end of the day, once you're able to do this, you're able to add this condition and the health data to your assets, then in terms of asset management, then basically you want to ensure that you have an asset index, health index of this asset that can help you in terms of decision making. So the other strategy that you want to undertake while you're doing the asset management is that you want to also add the consequences of failure and how critical these features are, these assets are within your area of distribution, because you want to ensure that in terms of reliability centered management, you want to ensure that you have this information in a centralized location so that you can make a decision in terms of which assets need to be replaced because on how critical they are on the network. Because if you have the critical assets that are basically powering or distributing water maybe to a particular hospitals or maybe a school, you want to ensure that these assets, they are all at times performing well, because this could be a critical issue that would affect in terms of water distribution. And again, you want to ensure that this continuous circle of asset management in terms of risk management, in terms of critical asset management, the location, that basically tied to all these factors so that they can be able to inform in terms of asset health index of these assets while you're adopting the capital, maintenance, and operational strategies, so that you can be able to inform the reliability centered management options. So while you're able to do all those factors of preventive measures, condition-based measures, reliability centered management, you want to ensure that you want to basically adopt the optimization of the required additional insights and basically analytics. Because once you have already in place this kind of a robust information system that you have that can be able to capture the condition of the assets, the history of the assets, the age of assets, the location, how critical they are, then you basically want to ensure that you'll be able to get, at the end of the day, you'll be able to get the health index that can help you do a lot of insights and analysis, so that you can be able to ensure that you're able to adopt the optimization measures that you could have in place, so that you can have a robust asset management system that can help you now become a more modern water utility company that can help can be able to distribute more water and their services more efficiently to an area of service. So I'll basically have a demo just to take you through on one of the solutions that we have for the water utilities. And this is basically utility data management inventory system. And this is all about the utility network. So as I'd said, utility network is basically a conceptual framework that you could adopt in terms of modeling the real network. So I'll share my screen again. So I want to believe you can be able to see my screen from your end. So basically the application that you are seeing here is a solution within the ArcGIS Pro environment, whereby you need to model your network. So you can be able to see this entire network of water distribution. You can be able to see that this is an entire distribution network. And all these are assets that will go into a water utility company. So once we want to manage these assets in terms of asset inventory, you want to build a robust database system that you can have in place, whereby this database will encompass a lot of items that goes into this utility network. And I've said it's basically a model that a water utility company would adopt in terms of managing their assets. And they basically want to build on that in terms of other workflows like meter reading, inspections, distribution, and all those. So we have layers for the water devices though basically this model can be able to model all this in place. And then you can be able to even have a system of record of a particular aspect like the service connections. So you should be able to see an inventory record of all the asset groups. You can be able to see that. You can be able to even have a specific asset types that are basically tied to the service connections. This could be residential, could be commercial, it could be industrial, could be all those kind of customer categories. Then the most interesting aspect is basically where you want to look at the life cycle management, whereby you need to ensure that you are able to capture in the installation date of your assets. It could be the pipelines, could be the meters, so that you're able to track down in terms of performance. Then in terms of even the last maintenance date, you're able to even input or incorporate, you even to track down in terms of asset life cycle status, so that you're able to update this information frequently, so that you can be able to track down and manage these assets in terms of whether they're in service, whether they're supposed to be retired, whether they're supposed to be removed, whether they're supposed to be out of service. You're able to have this information based on the data that you collect on each and every time using the Esri technology. So you could have even the in-service date be able to be updated, so that you can have you can be able to calculate even the age of these assets while you have them within your area of distribution. And many other assets that you want to ensure that you want to have in place, like the pipelines itself, you can be able to also be able to get the attributes of all this. Like if it's actually the main distribution line, you can be able to also get the attributes of all these assets, either their main distribution line, they transmission, or they production. Once you've been able to have this as a robust system, then you can be able to leverage on this kind of digital system. So this digital system can only be effective if you can be able to share this content to the web, because you realize that the world is actually fast moving, because everything has basically gone to the web. And ArcGIS from Esri basically ensure that you are able to have these tools out of the box, so that you can be able to share this content to the web. So I'll also share another application that we now use for sharing this content to the web. And for this case, this takes us to a portal whereby you have a web on the web, so that you can be able to access all these contents that we were looking at using the desktop application. That's the ArcGIS Pro, the within the ArcGIS Pro. So once you be able to publish this content to the portal, you can be able to access them anywhere and everywhere, so that you can be able to make use of these maps while you're in the field, or while you want to track down and be able to pull out information of a particular asset. You should be able to have an easy time of accessing this information. So I'll open one of the applications that basically shows distribution network. And you realize that this particular solution basically gives you a kind of modules, basically gives you modules for each and every kind of a department. Could be a distribution department, could be a department that manages all the assets, could be a department that manages the non-revenue, could be a department that manages the billing, and any other workflows that you have in place. So for the distribution, you'll want to ensure that you're able to query a particular asset like this one, and you're able to get information. And like if you're doing the paper-based data management of all these assets, you can be able to access this kind of information easily. And like you have this one on the web, because anyone can access it at any one point. So you can be able to pull, I can be able to click on this and query this particular pipe, and able to know even the size of this pipe, even the material, whether which kind of water does it carry, is it portable? And for the customer meter connections, you're able to even tie the customer location on the metering point to the parcel number, so that it is even easier for you to be able to track down and see which parcels within this water distribution area are not connected. So if you find an area like this one that maybe doesn't have a meter basically connected at this end, it basically becomes easier for you to be able to tell this particular location, this customer why does this customer doesn't have a water connection while the other customer has a water connection. So out of this decision that you make based on this kind of a system, it becomes easier for you to be able to make a decision in terms of following up which areas have water shortages, which areas, which customers doesn't receive water, and if there's a water network near there, what could be happening. So you're able to pull out and be able to get all these scenarios of all this customer information. So the second one, the second module that you could have about the asset management that you could adopt in terms of managing the assets. So is one of the dashboard that basically shows an asset life cycle management and monitoring that you want to adopt in terms of managing all the assets where they are and in terms of their age. For like this particular water distribution network, you should be able to see this particular one. You can also be able to query it. Let's just look at the attributes. So like for like that metering connection, the service connection, you should be able to get in terms of when was it created as a system, when was it last even updated. You're even going to be able to get when was it actually installed. So out of the installation date and the last updated date or the last inspection date, you should be able to even calculate the age of these particular assets. So you realize that in terms of the pipeline on this widget here, you basically see this particular widget basically shows most of these assets they basically have a lifespan of 20 years. They are now of age because you want to ensure that you have a threshold that basically can be able to prompt you that your assets are due for maintenance. So you want to have an asset like this one here. Basically, this one is actually 19 years. So it's not actually flagged out as an asset that needs to be attended to. But these ones that have that's been marked red, that basically the asset that need to be attended to. And again, even to the water devices, they could be the service connections, the meters, the hydrants, and all those. So if they are particularly doesn't have any flag, so it means that your assets are particularly performing well because you basically do the routine inspections. Because if you look at the installation date like this one here, basically this one was actually done in August. The inspection date was actually done in August. So up to now it's basically just 2 months old. So it means that this installation is actually new in place. So it means this actual network is actually performing well based on the data that the field workers are able to collect on the routine basis in the field as we're able to investigate. So this is, let's just try and look at the parameters that you can be able to change so that you can be able to track down the threshold of this lifespan. So for this particular script here, basically just gives us a snapshot of a concept of tracking down the lifespan of these assets. So if I have a threshold within an agreeable threshold within the system that we actually agreed or adopted as a company, that we want to ensure that all the assets, once they take a lifespan of 20 years, then if they are over 20 years or over, then they're basically marked as they need to be replaced in place, or they need to be attended to. So you could change it and make it maybe either 21 years. So if you make it 21 years or 25 years, we want to ensure that our lifespan of all our assets is basically 25 years. So if you're able to do that, then basically this means that all these assets from the date of installation, whether it was installation in the year 2002 and up to now, is supposed to have reached 20 years or 21 years. So it means that they are still performing well. So it just depended on the agreeable threshold of this lifespan that you want to ensure that you have it in place. So this is actually a very automated place, a solution that you want to adopt while you want to ensure that you leverage on this kind of technology while you want to track all these assets that you have in place. So so that is basically how it was done. Just basically track down all these assets in terms of performance. You're able to determine their age at all times in terms of the lifespan. So you want to have the mobile you want to ensure that while you are doing this, managing the system of record of all these assets, and you're managing all the historical information about these assets in terms of what you've said, whether they are in operational, whether they're out of service, whether they need to be inspected, and the lifespan, you want to ensure that you have a very powerful field workforce. And this basically takes us to the last section of our presentation. The last section of our presentation, whereby we basically now want to look at streamlining the field workflows. So while you want to ensure that as a water company to be able to adopt the digital transformation, you want to basically streamline these field workflows. You want to ensure that you have foundational apps within the hands of your mobile workforce, so that they're basically enabled in terms of performing inspections. They're able to collect data on the assets with a lot of high accuracies. You want to ensure that you want to have these maps even offline in the field, or this offline data in the field, while they want to ensure that they're able to perform these kind of inspections. And this can only be possible while you want to leverage on the GIS technology, whereby you basically have a centralized source of a single source of the truth, that you can be able to use that for planning and designing. You're able to use that for dynamic data capture through the mobile devices. And this basically, at the end of the day, if you're able to have a dynamic data capture, then this means you're basically increasing in terms of field productivity, because if a person was able to inspect a particular route of a water line for a day, then if you provide with them with mobile digital solutions using the ArcGIS field apps, then you can be able to now ensure that these people are able to even inspect a very larger area. This, at the end of the day, helps now your company to be able to be more productive in terms of doing that. And then at the end of the day, you're able to ensure that you are leveraged on the real-time operations while you're doing that. So with Esri, we basically want to ensure that we have a digital field workflows that basically adopts the mobile app strategies that can help you ensure that you are able to have a very digital mapping system that basically provides you solutions that are of world class, because we want to ensure that you are able to do away with the paper maps, or you're able to digitize all the paper maps that, or paper-based data that you have, and ensure that you have a digital platform that the mobile workforce or the people in the field can be able to use for either meter reading, for inspection of these assets, or for installation of these assets, or for the connection of these assets. And therefore, ArcGIS can be able to help you have this state-of-art navigation capabilities, while you want to ensure that you have these people in the field to navigate to a particular area. And therefore, you should be able to realize that we have solutions for ArcGIS field maps, which is a more map-centric application, where you have the maps embedded within the application that you can be able to edit and update, as we shall be able to see. Then you want to ensure that you even have smart forms within the survey 123 that you can be able to adopt for use. And even in terms of coordination of the workforce, you're able to have a digital platforms that you can be able to ensure that you coordinate the workforce, and you're able to give even the work orders and even the job assigned to the specific people to a specific area using the ArcGIS workforce and many other applications. So these ArcGIS field apps, you should be able to get them either on the Play Store, the Google Play Store, or on the iOS, that you can be able to make use of these particular applications. So at this time, I'll be able to demonstrate how you could be able to use the smartphones within the mobile devices. So I'll also share my screen. And for this particular one, allow me to cast the mobile device. I want to ensure that I'm able to leverage on this. So at this time, we want now to use the mobile device to be able to see how do we access these maps, and how do we share these maps with us. So we want to ensure that we have maps available to us that you want to share, and even update this kind of a dashboard. So while you want to develop this kind of the field data collection apps, so I'll simply take you through how you can be able to have the smart forms. So this is actually one of the smart form that you could be able to develop for the meter reading as a water utility company. So you want to ensure that you want to have a mobile app that you want to use while you want to do the meter readings. So, and here you want to ensure that you have the current meter readings. You want to even have the comments. You want to ensure that you have even the meter serial. You want to ensure that you have all these parameters. And basically, these are actually the ones that you can be able to build on basically using the Esri technology, whereby you basically have the template. Then you can be able to just drag and drop and ensure that you are able to constrain them to have a specific parameters that you require. If you want to ensure that you have an account number that has the field length of 50 characters, then you want to ensure that it has that. Whether it's basically want to have it as a required field, you also want to ensure that you have that in place. Also, you want to ensure that some of those fields that you have, they're basically the ones that are basically just read only, because it doesn't want to have the field workforce that can be able to do data manipulation, and they're able to change these particular attributes, because if they do that, then they will basically affect the data that you collect in the field. Okay. So and again, the ArcGIS basically provides with you the tools that can be able to help you in terms of even constraining further these particular forms. So you could be able to adopt in terms of using the arcade expressions. And this is one of the arcade expression that you could be able to use to calculate the bills, because you want to ensure that these particular people in the field, they're able to calculate a particular bill while they're able to bill these customers while in the field. They're able to adopt this kind of a script to be able to run through, to be able to create a form, a smart form that can be able to help you do that. So allow me to share my screen again just to show the solution. So I'll want to share the screen again, just a minute. So this particular one is basically a mobile, because you've prepared a form, the form that we are preparing for the meter reading. You could now make use of it through the field maps application, which basically download from the Android, the iOS, that's Play Store. So this the field maps, you have it in place here. Then you can be able to click on it to be able to access some of the maps that you had. So initially, you can remember the map that we had initially is basically here. The map that we are using for asset management, you're able to see that. And for this particular one, you want to assume that you have a particular person that basically was doing the inspection. let's say a particular person was basically doing an inspection on this. Let me just stop. Maybe you have a field workforce that will basically doing an inspection on this particular service line. So if you click on that, then it allows you to be able to edit these attributes. Now you could be able to even change the asset type, whether it is actually the main, is actually the service line. You can be able to do that. Is it of which asset type? Is it residential? You can be able to access the same in the mobile device. Then, because you are more interested in terms of which date was this particular asset was installed, you can be able to say maybe you basically install this particular asset like today. Or let me make it yesterday. So if you submit this information, whether you done that inspection yesterday, you should be able to see that on the other end of the back office. So that is one workflow of asset inspection updates. If you come to our dashboard that we were looking at, this particular one. So if I refresh this, then I should be able to see this particular asset has been updated and even the age even calculated on the fly. So we have these particular ones. So you should be able to see, this should be the very last one. So you should be able to see this particular asset that I was actually updating. You should be able to see, I basically just did the installation yesterday. So it means it actually has 0 years, because you want to have these people in the field powered with maps, powered with a solution that can help them update this kind of inventory information data that you want to collect. So able to have even the age of that particular asset updated. And even if this particular asset was actually installed 3 months ago, to basically give you an estimate, an age of this asset at that time. So we can even do it in up to days, number of days this particular asset has been in place in terms of lifespan, so that can be able to help you doing the asset management. So the one that we are doing, the other one is basically the meter reading that you also want to adopt. So the same, you basically want to use the ArcGIS field maps to be able to do that. And for this case, you could have one of the map that you could use. Let's say we want to look for the one for meter reading. So I want to get one of the maps. So this should be this one. So, and again, for this particular workflow, you want to ensure that you want to perform the meter readings of a particular area. Let's say you want to do the settings on the meter reading. Okay, this particular one. So you could have an area like even in the rural areas, because the one that I was actually using was one adopted for a more urbanized area. And you want to ensure that you should be able to do that. So you want to ensure that you have an application that can be able to have all the sync, should be able to have the maps in a central place that you can be able to make use of in terms of the meter reading. Yes, try and pan to a particular area. So you have this particular section of your network and you want to go to that particular area and do the meter reading. So you should be able to find an application. So if I click on that particular meter, then I can be able to ensure that I'm able to do the meter reading. Because I want to do the meter reading, I'll be able to have a form that I want to add the meter readings. I can be able to adopt that. I can even determine the meter size, whether this customer is connected, and maybe the previous reading was actually 0. You can also have the current meter reading as 100, and even you can be able to determine quickly the meter reading units, basically that. Then you can be able to submit this kind of record. So these particular workflows will basically help you in terms of digitizing all these data collection, data management, and even asset management of all these assets that you have in place. So allow me to go back to the presentation and have a wrap up on the same. So while you are doing the digital transformation, you want to leverage on the current technology, either on the mobile technology or on the desktop technologies that can help your work more easier and more efficiently. And that is ArcGIS can be able to provide with you with these kind of solutions while you want to streamline the field workforce, the back office in terms of data management and all that. So I want to stop there. In case of any questions, any concerns, then I can be able to allow you to be able to interact more on this.